the latest ITV news in the Tyne Tees region with Ian Payne and Amy Lee.
Hello there, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
In tonight's programme, a jury is sent out to consider their verdict in the trial of a teenager accused of plotting a terror attack on Newcastle synagogues.
Military might. Northumberland has turned into a temporary war zone as Marines and Army Rangers carry out a NATO training exercise.
History maker Josh Kelly is Sunderland's first ever world boxing champion as a North East crowd cheers him to light middleweight title success.
And it's no laughing matter. Find out how one comedy club in Newcastle is making nights out more inclusive for everyone.
First tonight, the jury has been sent out to consider his verdicts in the trial of a Northumberland teenager accused of plotting a terror attack against synagogues in Newcastle.
The trial at Leeds Crown Court heard how an arsenal of weapons were discovered when they raided the boy's home last year.
The boy can't be named because of his age. He denies the charges against him. Our correspondent Greg E. Steele has been following proceedings. Greg.
Well, Ian, this hearing now entering its fourth week, but heading into its closing stages, with the jury being sent out to consider its verdicts just before midday. On trial, a teenager who was wearing his school uniform when he was arrested early one morning at his home in Northumberland in February last year. During the course of this hearing, the jury is being shown a number of photographs taken of his bedroom after his arrest, showing what the prosecution described as an arsenal of weapons, including air rifles, knives, chemicals, matches and nails bound together. They're also shown photos of a replica skeleton, a replica Nazi cap and a crossbow that he'd obtained. All this forming part of a prosecution case, along with diary entries and online chats, which they say show that this was an individual who'd taken numerous preparatory steps towards carrying out threats that he'd made. The defence, though, sees things very differently, arguing that this was a lonely individual who was finding escapism in an online persona away from the troubles of his life, and that he never intended to harm anyone, something that which the teenager said himself when he was giving evidence. Now, summing up this case before sending them out to consider their verdicts, the judge told the jury that they should consider the evidence as a whole and feel under no pressure of time to return their verdicts. The defendant denies all the charges against him, and the jury will be back here to resume its deliberations tomorrow.
Greg E. Steele live for us at Leeds Crown Court. Greg, thank you. Next tonight, to Otterburn in Northumberland, it was the setting for the final training exercise to allow the UK to take over running special operations for NATO.
Yeah, exercise Hyperion Storm is the culmination of 18 months of training for the military, and it saw Royal Marines and Army Rangers flown into position by helicopter and then joining a mock attack in the training camp's grounds. Our Northumberland correspondent Tom Barton was there for us.
It's early morning and British forces are launching a dawn raid on enemy insurgents in the middle of Northumberland's Otterburn military training area. Royal Marines commandos and Army Rangers fast roped from a Chinook helicopter to join the battle, simulating a NATO special operation behind enemy lines.
I want you to give me what you're doing at each stage. What's happening first?
The operation began the night before, 70 miles to the south at RAF Leaming in North Yorkshire, with a mission briefing.
So, my sniper self will be in front of my foot into the north-eastern side of this brick up here.
A map on the floor of an aircraft hangar showing the layout of the battlefield and the team's mission. Everyone involved part of a new unit designed to work exclusively with NATO, bringing together special operations forces from the RAF, the Royal Marines and the Army.
The key to that part is bringing everybody in early, getting to know faces, getting to know how each other work, and this part is really where that gels and syncs, so that we're not figuring that out on the target.
I think the key bit here is that each service has their own special capabilities, and when you bring that all together, that's a real lethal and survivable force that you can scale to whatever the threat may be.
How important is it that these three branches all work so closely together?
It's really important. I think that we know that warfare is going the way that, you need to find as many different domains as possible, and just to be able to have an air group or a land group separate doesn't really work anymore. We've learned that over many years, many decades, and we now know the best way to put them together to make them work most efficiently.
And on show at Otterburn, the pure power that can come when Special Operations Forces work hand in glove. This exercise is the last stage in signing these troops off as Britain steps up to lead Special Operations for NATO.
This is ultimately about quality and how we assure our military and political decision makers that the capability is absolutely credible and has been set to that standard. And therefore the evaluation, both by specially trained UK personnel and NATO, is important to guarantee that standard of capability.
The operation came just 6 days after the death of Captain Philip Gilbert Muldowney during a separate live firing exercise nearby.
There was a tragic loss of life on Otterburn Ranges just in the last week. How central is safety to planning for all of these sorts of operations?
Risk is a key consideration for ourselves throughout, and the principle within our training is that we get risks as low as they are practicably possible. This is not a live fire tactical training exercise, but there are lots of safety considerations. There is clearly people moving on the ground in complex and broken terrain. We have aircraft operating with ground forces, so there's a great deal of coordination. Here on the ground, we have multiple safety supervisors and safety staff that can ensure that this training is conducted in a safe manner.
As the enemy is defeated, Marines and Army Rangers clear the scene and gather evidence. The exercise a success. Britain declared ready to lead Special Operations for NATO.
I'm delighted with what we've seen today. This is the culmination of 18 months of exceptionally hard work by forces across all branches of our service. The level of integration that you've seen today, the complexity of activity, is a testament to their hard work and the sacrifice that they made.
And as quickly as they arrived, the battlefield is emptied. These forces now ready for Britain to take command of NATO's special operations later this year. Tom Barton, ITV News at Otterburn in Northumberland.
You're watching ITV News Tyne Tees. Still to come on tonight's programme.
Join me at the Stadium of Light, where there might be some deadline day ins and outs, but there'll definitely be a boxing world champion and a game against Burnley.
And we've started the week with plenty of clouds, some murky conditions, some rain and hill snow. Is this going to continue through the next few days? I'll have your forecast later.
A new centre dedicated to support members of the LGBTQ+ community has opened in Gateshead. Backed with National Lottery funding, Out North East says the one centre in Pelaw will provide event spaces, training and counselling for the LGBTQ+ community and its allies. Those at the launch this morning hope that it will have a positive impact.
The LGBT+ community have always been under attack, and at the moment that threat seems to have increased, and people are understandably concerned. I'm certainly concerned. So to have this safe space is really special and really needed.
People can come here, learn to be themselves, to be confident, to take pride in themselves and what they can do for their communities.
Now, from time to time, you might enjoy the hustle, the bustle, the noise, the chaos of socialising or being on a night out in our city centres. But for some people who are neurodivergent, then it can feel a bit overwhelming.
Now, it's estimated that 1 in 7 people have some form of neurodivergence, and that includes autism, ADHD. And charity Event Well say most of those feel that event organisers don't understand their needs.
Well, one comedy club on Tyne's side is ensuring their guests and their acts feel supported. Our reporter Amy Sutton has been to the stand in Newcastle.
At a comedy club, I can't imagine how nerve-wracking it may be for comedians not knowing how their material is going to go down with the audience. But for some members of the audience, socialising in busy venues like this may feel a bit overwhelming. And if you've been to a comedy club before, you know the rules. No talking and no interruptions during the show. But sometimes there are shows where that relaxed atmosphere is more welcome. So we're going to talk to Neil Harris, who is running an event tonight called Nerds Just Want to Have Fun. Neil, tell us a little bit about your event.
So, Nerds Just Want to Have Fun is a monthly science-based comedy panel show where we take a different aspect of science each month and have a deep dive into that.
And why do you think your event is so inclusive?
So it is a multimedia show, so there are presentations, but we also allow audience members to interact with the show in a more non-traditional manner, so they can use their phones to interact with the show. So they don't feel comfortable speaking to a comedian, they can still feel part of the show by interacting with their phone.
Perfect, thank you, and good luck for tonight. So I'm also going to speak to Sasha and Sean. Sasha runs the Kapow Club, which works with autistic adults and people with learning disabilities in the North East. Sasha, why does your group love coming to the stand?
Yeah, so the Kapow Club really enjoy coming to the stand, especially to watch Nerds Just Want to Have Fun. It's a super duper inclusive show. So some of our members might have, different things going on, like they might have echolalia, or they might struggle with answering rhetorical questions. They could have verbal stimming. Maybe need like an extra 5 seconds to have a timeout. So that's all accommodated for within the show. No one's singled out, no one's kind of pointed at or laughed at. And another reason that we really enjoy coming along is because often our members' special interests or niche knowledge can be encompassed within the show after chatting to Neil.
And Sean, why do you love coming down here?
It's a safe place and my friends are here and it's funny.
And are you excited for tonight as well?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Have a lovely night to both of you. So that's why here at the stand they make adaptations, not just for the guests, but for comedians who may need it, as sensory issues may mean it's a bit dark and it's a bit loud. So from turning the lights up a bit to maybe keeping the music down during intervals, and with plenty of breaks and performances, it can make a real difference to people. So Dora, you're one of the managers here. You always have a bit of a diverse lineup on comedians, but how do your staff look after their punters as well?
So basically, it so happens that we are a very neurodiverse team, so we're genuinely passionate about making sure our venue is accessible, that people feel safe and welcomed here and can enjoy a night out. So there are quite a few things we have in place to make sure people's needs are met. So we reserve seating that's a bit out of the way, with still good visibility lines so that people can come and go as they need to, or go to the accessible toilet if that's what they need. And we just, it's mainly for us, it's mainly about keeping an eye out to make sure we can accommodate on the spot and make sure everyone feels welcomed.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, comedy as a concept often has blurred lines, but what is very clear here is entertainers just want to make it accessible for all, because we all want to have a good laugh, don't we?
We certainly do. Amy, thank you very much indeed for sending us that report. And if you're going along to the comedy tonight, hope it is really funny and you have a great time. The ITV Evening News continues after us tonight at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up in the ITV Evening News, the PM orders an urgent review of Lord Mandelson's ties with Jeffrey Epstein. We'll have all the details, including what it means for his seat in the House of Lords. Guilty, the Russian captain of a cargo ship that collided with a tanker in the North Sea. And
the Grammy goes to Olivia Dean.
Big night for British talent at this year's Grammys. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
So it's Sunderland versus Burnley in the Premier League this evening, and one particular Black Cats fan has just had the greatest weekend of his life. Simon is at the Stadium of Light for us tonight and can tell us a bit more. Simon.
Yeah, good evening. Josh Kelly will be at the game tonight. He is a Sunderland fan through and through. And as of Saturday night, he is also the IBF World Light Middleweight Champion. Josh became the North East's 4th ever world champion when he won a majority decision against the defending champion Bakram Murtazaliev from Chechnya at the Utilita Arena in Newcastle. It was a really good fight. Josh forced his opponent into an early standing count. The Sunderland lad also recovered from a knockdown to finish strongly, claim the world title, and the word is his next fight could be here at the Stadium of Light. We caught up with the new champ just before he left to travel here to tonight's match.
I mean, it's history made. I'm the first ever world champion to come out of Sunderland, so I'll be forever in the history books now, especially with the city I'm born from. So I feel blessed, man. And North East, not just Sunderland. Sunderland's obviously dear to my heart, and because I come from there and I'm born and bred. But the North East turned up on Saturday night, and the crowd's performance, not just mine, the crowd's performance was a different level. It was electric. So I just felt all that energy, soaked it up, went in there and did my thing.
They said, let's get it on, Stadium of Light next, club inviting Josh into the ballroom on Monday, and let's get the fight made there.
Well, I've been talking, I think the promoters have been talking. I'm not going to say anything yet, but we should see the next fight there, so, and that will be crazy.
So Josh Kelly's here to watch Sunderland against Burnley tonight. It's also transfer deadline day. The window shut in just over half an hour at 7 o'clock, and Sunderland have been extremely busy. They are changing up their wing rotation. The Black Cats are set to sign 22-year-old Ecuadorian winger Nilson Angulo from the Belgian club Anderlecht for an initial fee of £15 million. On his way out is Simon Adingra. The summer signing will join French club Monaco on loan with an option for the move to become permanent in the summer. The Black Cats signed goalkeeper Melker Elberg from Malmo yesterday, which allowed them to send Anthony Patterson on loan to Millwall. Midfielder Adil Aushish is scheduled to sign for Schalke in Germany. Sunderland certainly hope he does, because it could scupper some of the other deals if he doesn't. Patrick Roberts' loan to Birmingham City's become permanent, and Leo Hjelde joined Sheffield United on loan. And don't forget the match tonight, Sunderland versus struggling Burnley, who will not be underestimated.
They are struggling in the league, but they are doing well. They drew 3 times in a row, deserved at least 2 wins, I think, after reviewing the game. So they are doing well, probably with a lack of efficiency, it's often the case.
There was talk this morning of Arsenal trying to sign Newcastle United's Sandro Tonali, but they didn't try, and the Magpies would have put the phone down on the Gunners if they had actually rung up. But there is likely to be a departure from Newcastle today. Long-serving, highly respected club captain Jamal Lascelles is set to join Leicester City after 12 years on Tyneside. Now, on the pitch, the Magpies have had better weekends, but Middlesbrough might have to start aiming their sights a little higher. Hayden Hackney is the homegrown jewel in the Borough crown. His winning goal against Norwich was an example of why Premier League teams asked about him this month and why Borough wouldn't sell him. Speaking of the transfer window, it seems Newcastle United haven't recalled Matt Targett from his loan, so he's staying on Teesside. More good news, Coventry lost and Borough are now level on points with the long-time Championship leaders. Never mind promotion, is this a title season for Borough? They weren't 10 out of 10 on Saturday, but they were good enough to make it 5 wins out of 5.
We also faced a good side, and it wasn't our best day, and then we have to dig in and defend, and we did that proper, and like, again, I don't see they having many chances, and because of that top call from Hayden, we win the game.
He was the ghost at the Liverpool feast. Alexander Isak is injured, so this wasn't the night he faced the club he forced his way out of last summer, but he still haunted the occasion. Newcastle's attack hasn't been...
It was a tough result for us. I don't think we necessarily deserved the scoreline that we ended up getting, but that's the reality. I thought we played really well, especially in the first half.
Harrogate's season in League Two is a disaster. They're bottom of the table, and Saturday's 2-0 defeat at Crawley makes it 19 games without a win for the North Yorkshire side. By way of contrast, York City's season is dreamy. York are top of the National League, 18 unbeaten, and they won 2-0 at Solihull Moors. Hartlepool suffered their first post-takeover setback. The 3-0 home defeat against struggling Aldershot was a day best forgotten. 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat for the region in Women's Super League 2. Durham came from a goal down to get a vital 2-1 victory over Portsmouth. Lucy Watson's stoppage time penalty eased Durham's relegation worries. Beth Lumsden scored a lovely goal for Newcastle United, but it was only enough for a 1-1 draw with Ipswich Town. A weekend to forget for Sunderland, though. They lost 3-0 at Bristol City. And there was honour in defeat for the Newcastle Eagles in the final of the Super League Basketball Trophy. The stats suggested they had very little chance against the London Lions, who are the dominant force in the British game right now. The Lions duly established a big lead, but the Eagles threatened an amazing comeback, only to fall just short. They lost by 74 points to 68. Good effort.
Thank you, Simon. Busy sports desk. Now, before the weather, we are used to hearing about the impact of losing places like rainforests or glaciers, but there could be an environmental concern a bit closer to home.
Yeah, environmentalists say that wetlands, water-based habitats, are actually vanishing faster than forests.
We're told they're not only a haven for flora and fauna, they have health benefits for us as well. James Webster has more.
The place where land meets water. A unique habitat supporting 40% of all plants and animals. But wetlands are under threat, disappearing faster than forests.
We've got lots of big flocks of hooper swans. They come to us from Iceland. That's where they breed and they spend the winter with us. We've also got big flocks of ducks, so you can hear the widgeon, shelduck, pintail. The shelduck actually breed with us, which is lovely to see their little ducklings. Looking forward to seeing that in the spring.
Before Roman times, it's estimated wetlands covered more than 25% of the UK. Now, it's around 3%. One that does survive is Rainton Meadows Nature Reserve at Houghtonleigh Spring.
Our freshwater, our lakes, our rivers, our streams, even the ponds, the smallest garden pond, are so special, both for wildlife and for people. So we're working with local communities in the coalfields area of Sunderland, helping to restore streams and burns running through urban parks. And really excitingly, we've got a huge project looking at recreating an ancient wetland site not far from Sedgefield, which is going to be called the Great North Fen.
In December, the government announced that recreating lost wetland is part of its plan to prevent flooding. And the chair of Natural England also says it has other environmental benefits.
One of the things that we have hitherto paid too little attention to is the carbon that's coming out of the ground, literally emitting from the soils. But by re-wetting the ground, we can stop and in some cases reverse that process, and instead of having emissions, have the carbon going back into the soil, and wetlands are a fantastic way of doing that.
Promoting such benefits is why World Wetland Day is being marked.
What's this reed bed particularly good for?
So reed bed is another type of wetlands. This reed bed is 20 hectares and there's actually only 50 reed beds in the UK of this size.
And how much water's in the bottom of there?
So it varies, but it's around about 30 centimetres. We found that's perfect for fish to breed.
And the reeds themselves, are they particularly good for different types of wildlife as habitats?
Yeah, that's it. Even moths burrow inside the stems, but just watching them are incredible.
Research shows places like this don't just benefit wildlife either. Just 10 minutes here can improve a person's mood. One of the reasons that environmentalists hope today shines a light on these unique landscapes and why they need to be celebrated. James Webster, ITV News.
Ross joins us in the studio now. Ross, the lady that spoke there at Rainton Meadows, that background sums up exactly what January has been like and now what February is like. Just
It
murk
summed
and
up
dark.
our January for our region. Not everyone got that. I'm not going to say we were winners when it comes to the January weather stats. Let's take a look, actually, because, yes, we have finally got into February. January had about 300 days in it at the last count. This here shows it was colder than average for our part of the world. The blue there showing the colder than average. White means average. Then, when it comes to rainfall, it was wetter than average, particularly where we were. Fantastic news, and then no surprise, actually, because of all that, it was duller than average as well.
Wonderful.
So I'll give you colder, duller and wetter for January. You're welcome. As we head into February, it's been a bit colder, duller and wetter, I'm afraid. We're only 2 days in. We're 2 days in, but the clouds are rolling in. There's been a bit of patchy rain in there. We've seen some snow over higher ground as well. The cloud, though, I'm going to argue this, could be good news. Why? Well, of course, it's the 2nd of February, which means it is Candlemas Day. Yes, you're right. Here's the thing. If Candlemas be fair and bright, winter will have another flight. But if it's cloud and rain, winter is gone and will not come again. It's been cloudy today. Although there's some snow in the forecast, it's not worked, has it? Let's take a look.
A breezy morning will be followed up with a flurry of fresh delights for lunch. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
It has been a day dominated by clouds, some misty, murky conditions, spells of rain in the mix too, and the winds picking up at times coming in from that easterly direction. And it's a similar story through the next few days, I'm afraid. Cloudy, patchy rain coming and going, cold enough that over the highest ground that will be falling as a mixture of sleet and snow, and we still have these winds coming in from the North Sea. That's been a feature over the last few days. It's bringing that thicker cloud, the murky conditions through tomorrow. As it turns a bit blustery, the winds will start to lift a bit of that cloud, maybe not as murky, but still further spells of rain coming and going. Low pressure still lingering in the west here. It's refusing to go anywhere, so these changeable, dull conditions will stay with us. For now, through this evening and overnight, you can see bits and pieces of patchy rain coming and going. You've got the winteriness over higher ground. Lots of cloud taking us into the early hours. The winds, though, starting to pick up. So, as I say, not maybe as murky into tomorrow morning. Temperatures down at around 3 or 4 degrees. Chilly enough that over the highest ground we could see a bit of frost in the mix into tomorrow morning. So tomorrow's another cloudy start to the day. We still have that feed coming in from the North Sea. Bits and pieces of patchy rain coming and going. Maybe not as persistent as some of us have seen today, and the cloud base is a bit higher, but still it's dull. Highs around 3 or 4 degrees. In those winds coming in from the east, it's going to feel even chillier than that. Through Tuesday and into Wednesday, we start to see a more organised band of rain moving its way up. It's going to turn patchy as it pushes its way across our region. There'll be some heavy bursts, the winteriness over the tops. It's clearing its way further north, but even as it clears through, still leaving behind quite a legacy of clouds, staying dull through this week and on the chilly side.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
Thank you, Ross.
Oh, we both thanked Ross. He did a good job, sort of.
Happy Candlemas Day.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see you with the late news at
Whatever that
10:30. Take care, bye-bye.